Israel and Spurgeon get along really well, and I think that Spurgeon will be a great big brother for little baby Seawald. Well, Jess,
for hours.
you want to listen to your baby's heartbeat?
Sure, if we can hear it over that.
This pregnancy has been different than my first pregnancy in many ways. I've had way more food aversions.
I was a student midwife for several years, and last year I got licensed as a certified professional midwife. I'm excited to get to be here right now with Jess.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Wednesday, August 3rd. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Do you ever just wake up in the morning and you're like, it's always a double Duggar day? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's time for a double Duggar day. Yeah, okay. All right, let's do a double Duggar day. Yesterday we did Anna Duggar and the visits of the kids to Josh Duggar. I just did a video about Jim Bob coming out of hiding. And now I wanted to talk about Jill Duggar, Jill Dillard, and her social media happenings and why this makes me scratch my head. So Jill Dillard she's the second oldest daughter. Jana Duggar is only a year older than her. And she is the daughter that was part of the buddy teams that helped Michelle raise her kids. Jill was in charge of Jennifer, James, Joy. Jill was in charge of James, Jennifer, and Joy, I think. That was her buddy team. So she had 4 kids that she was designated to take care of. And so over the years, she was the sister that helped to do scrapes, bruises. She was like the nurse. She made sure that they were taken care of. She did the obedience game with them, teaching them how to obey mom and dad, doing all the stuff that mom and dad were teaching them to do, which is unhealthy and not normal. Some of you guys noticed that in my last video was the obedience game. I don't even want to talk about that. If you want to learn about the obedience game, it's literally from the book that Michelle Duggar wrote, where she told her kids that they had to do whatever she said, regardless of what it was. And she would make them jump on a square, sit on a tile, go up the stairs, and they couldn't question her. And if they questioned her or they didn't obey right away, they would get into trouble, or they would get, it was just a way for them to obey. And they believed that if you have to think about obeying, then you're not really submitting. So it's a way for kids to blindly obey their parents without question. And it can be kind of concerning because not everything we say as parents is correct. Kids do have a right to sometimes question what we're doing a little bit. So most of us have the best interest of our kids in mind, but kids should be able to advocate for themselves and be like, I don't know, I don't know if that's a good idea, mom and dad. So anyways, Jill was in charge of taking care of the kids, and she was in charge of she helped cook and clean and just really take care of the house while Michelle was making babies and going and traveling all the time and, being joyfully available wife to her husband, Jim Bob.
We date. We date. And that's the fun thing. After you're married, you can date. Yes. We love to do that. We'd love to find little opportunities for us to get away. And when the children were young, we would call.
Anyways, I noticed that on social media, Jill Dillard is always the one that will extend an olive branch out to her siblings on their comments. She'll make comments to them when they post photographs, when they put reels up, when a new baby arrives, when there's something exciting that's happening in their lives and they go up to social media. Jill is consistently in the comments. And something I noticed is that a lot of her siblings are not consistently in her comments. Now, that doesn't mean they're not watching her and paying attention to what she's doing. They're just not commenting or saying anything. And then I also noticed that when she does jump on over to her siblings' pages and leaves comments, she gets ignored a lot. Listen, I know that they don't respond to each other all the time on social media, and this is not indicative of the fact that they might not have a strained relationship, but I do think there is some tension between her and some of her siblings. She had recently tried to extend an olive branch over to Jed and his wife, Katie, and it got ignored, and it made me sad. She, on Katie's birthday, Jed posted a reel which said, "Happy birthday to this amazing girl. These past 2 years of knowing you have been the best of my life. You're a great mother, wife, and best friend. Love you so much, Katie." And Jill said, "Happy birthday, Katie. We love you." Now, Jill got ignored, and so did Jessa. So I want to be fair. Like, they both got ignored by Jed. And Jed did not respond to anybody's comments. So there's that. But she was ignored there. And then I also noticed that she was over on Ginger's page. "We took the girls to the beach in Malibu. Perfect day. So refreshing." And Jill wrote, "Yay, so much fun." And again, ignored. The comments weren't even liked or responded to by the siblings. And I noticed that Ginger is rarely ever posting on Jill's page, but Jill will post on Ginger's page. Ginger might be one of those Instagrammers that doesn't get into the comments very frequently. She might be one of those people that like posts and goes away and doesn't look at comments. And listen, I do that sometimes too. I don't want to look at the comments. Sometimes the comments can be awful, but other times they can be really nice. I do try to respond to people that I know, though, if I can. And I've noticed that they will respond sometimes to the people that they know, and then other times they don't. But I noticed Jill is almost always trying to take those steps to show her loved ones and her siblings, "Hey, I'm thinking about you. I love you," or "That's so cute," or "That's so sweet." And it's like she's constantly ignored by her siblings. It's sad. Jill doesn't always respond to her siblings or to like Amy, but she usually will like their comments. And so acknowledging that she at least saw what they had to say, giving it a like or giving it a heart, appreciating them for stopping by. But it's not the same at all with her sisters. Like recently she shared a picture of her son, her newborn, holding him and sniffing his nose. No comments by any of her siblings. You know, sometimes I think like maybe they're afraid to be out there and to like actually say anything because they're afraid of Jim Bob seeing it. And they're afraid of maybe that backlash from him. So Jill is banned from being at the parents' house. She's not allowed to go over there at all. During the trial, when everything was happening, Jim Bob took the stand, and right before the pretrial, and they were going to determine if they were going to allow certain evidence into the trial on the day of the trial regarding what he did to his sisters. There was apparently some sort of confrontation after the fact at home, and some of the brothers were not in agreement with how Jim Bob handled the situation and how he lied on the stand about what happened. And apparently Jim Bob was telling them that Jill was a liar and that Jill is dangerous and that Jill is not telling the truth about these things that happened. And so he had labeled her dangerous, allegedly. And that story was repeated to me by the Holts when I had talked to them. And it's been a conversation that I've had with Derek Dillard as well, where the Duggars have just, Jim Bob has said she's dangerous. Her belief system is she has her nose pierced, she wears pants, she's drinks alcohol, she's, not in line with what we believe in anymore. But Josh is totally fine to live at his house, live under his same roof, and totally abide by the rules and totally live underneath his roof as long as he abides by Jim Bob's rules. But Jill, who stepped out and doesn't want to abide by his rules or under his control, is labeled the dangerous one. So a lot of times I think sometimes some of the siblings are afraid to interact with her. We saw a little bit of her sister Joy starting to try to interact with Jill, and then Jill was like not really responding as well. And I think it might be hard for Jill to figure out how to balance like which siblings she wants to have a relationship with and which ones she doesn't trust and which ones she's not sure about. I've sensed for the last several years that there's something between Jill and Ginger that makes their relationship a little bit icy, and I'm not sure what it is. Ginger doesn't frequently comment on Jill's posts, and they don't interact very much. And Jill, of all of the sisters, I think speaks to probably Jessa the most from what I can tell on social media. And in terms of like when she gets together with her siblings, she'll see Jessa and sometimes Jana. But I think Jana and her relationship is even icy as well. Jana still lives under her Jim Bob's house rules. And so unfortunately, she kind of is bound to Jim Bob's rules. And then when they all get together, Jill never goes. And people will say, well, she's not invited. I think she doesn't want to go. But she's not included because Jim Bob doesn't think she's safe for them. It's sad. But she has to establish healthy boundaries. And she tries to extend olive branches, I think, on social media to let her younger siblings know that she still cares about them. And that kind of breaks my heart, you guys, because I think about Jill and how much she did for those siblings and how all she's tried to do is stand up for her siblings and herself to her father. And that's not been met with the same gratitude from her siblings. A lot of them still defend their dad over Jill or believe his rhetoric about Jill, which makes their relationships complicated and strained. So Jill has had to really find a new path forward. Jim Bob and Jill's relationship still probably isn't going very well, and her siblings are ignoring her on Instagram. What are your thoughts about that? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.